On the afternoon of January 26, 1966, three siblings, Jane, Arna, and Grant Beaumont, set out for what was meant to be a joyful day at the beach near Adelaide, Australia. Their laughter filled the air as they raced along the shoreline, unaware that this day would mark the beginning of one of the nation's most enduring mysteries. In the hours that followed, the cheerful din of a normal family outing was replaced by a deafening silence. When the Beaumont children failed to return home, panic set in. Extensive search parties combed the coastline and bushland. Investigators interviewed dozens of locals, rechecked every familiar landmark, and even followed up on vague reports of unusual vehicles and strangers seen near the beach. Despite these exhaustive efforts, every lead dissolved into frustration and confusion. The Beaumont family home was found exactly as it was on that fateful morning, frozen in time with everyday belongings left untouched. Neighbors recalled the children's playful energy and the promise of a bright future that had so abruptly vanished. Theories soon began to emerge. Some suspected an abduction by a stranger, while others whispered about possible involvement of local criminal elements. Over time, the case became a cultural touchstone, with every new theory only adding to the mystique. Despite repeated investigations and continuous public fascination, the disappearance remains unsolved. Decades later, the Beaumont children's case still haunts Australia, a perfect vanishing that challenges both investigators and the collective memory of an entire nation. It is a reminder of how sometimes the most ordinary day can unravel into a mystery that defies explanation. On July 1st, 2014, Lars Mittank, a 28-year-old German tourist, arrived at Bulgaria's Golden Sands resort, expecting a fun-filled summer getaway with friends. The sun-drenched beaches, lively bars, and carefree atmosphere seemed like the perfect escape. But what started as an ordinary vacation soon spiraled into a nightmare. During a night out, a minor argument over football escalated into a physical altercation. Lars suffered a ruptured eardrum, an injury his doctor assured him was nothing serious, just something that required a few days of rest and medication. But from that moment on, Lars' behavior took a drastic and disturbing turn. His friends noticed it first, the paranoia creeping into his voice, the nervous glances over his shoulder. When their trip ended on July 6th, Lars chose to stay behind alone, claiming he needed more time to heal before flying. That was the last time they ever saw him. He checked into a cheap hotel near the airport, but hotel staff later reported bizarre behavior. He refused to eat, kept his lights off, and paced anxiously through the hallways. Then, in the middle of the night, he sent his mother a chilling text. "Something's wrong. I need to leave." The next morning, July 8th, Lars arrived at Varna Airport, but instead of boarding his flight home, he did something unthinkable. Surveillance cameras captured him sitting alone in the waiting area, his eyes darting around as if he was being watched. Suddenly, panic overtook him. He jumped from his seat, sprinted through the terminal, and ran outside past security. He vaulted a fence, disappearing into the dense forest beyond. That was the last confirmed sighting of Lars Mittank. His phone, passport, and luggage were left behind, as if he had no intention of ever returning. For years, theories have swirled around his fate. Some believe he suffered a psychotic break triggered by the medication for his ear injury. Others suspect he was being followed, perhaps by someone he met at the resort, someone who knew something he shouldn't have. Then, in 2019, an eerie development. A homeless man resembling Lars was spotted wandering in Brazil. A photograph surfaced showing a disheveled figure with hollow eyes and a haunted expression. Was it him, or just another cruel twist in an already baffling mystery? To this day, no trace of Lars Mittank has been found. His disappearance remains one of the most chilling modern mysteries, a case that leaves us with a haunting question. What was he running from? On December 7, 1900, three dedicated lighthouse keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur, assumed their solitary posts at the Flannan Isles Lighthouse, a steadfast sentinel set 20 miles off Scotland's storm-battered coast. Their logbooks detailed the relentless assault of nature, raging storms, howling winds reaching 80 knots, and the ceaseless pounding of icy waves against rugged cliffs. Then, on December 12th, Thomas Marshall recorded his final entry. "Storm ended. Sea calm. God is over all." That brief, cryptic note would be the last communication from the keepers. When the relief ship Hesperus arrived on December 26th, it found an eerie and unsettling scene. The door swung open in the wind, a chair lay toppled on the floor, and the keepers' oilskin coats hung neatly as if waiting for their owner's return. Beds were made with unnerving precision, but the men had vanished without a trace. The official inquiry blamed a rogue wave, yet lingering questions persisted. Why were the landing ropes still coiled and dry, untouched by desperate attempts at rescue? Why had the lighthouse clock frozen at exactly 2:15 a.m.? And what did Marshall mean when he mentioned a strange bird with wings too vast for any known seabird, circling ominously overhead? In 2015, marine archaeologists uncovered a ship's log from a passing captain who wrote, "I saw 3 men on the cliffside, waving lanterns. Then, a sudden flash of light, and they were gone." Even today, sailors avoid the Flannan Isles, whispering that the lost keeper's ghosts still wander the cliffs, forever luring unsuspecting ships to a watery grave. On Christmas Eve, 1945, in Fayetteville, West Virginia, George and Jenny Sauter opened their home to a festive holiday gathering, a night meant to be filled with laughter, warmth, and hope. Instead, disaster struck when a fire engulfed their home, reducing it to smoldering ruins and plunging the family into unspeakable grief. In the chaos of the inferno, 5 of their 9 children vanished without a trace, as if swallowed by the flames. The fire burned at a puzzling 1,200 degrees, a temperature too low to reduce bones to ash, yet no remains were ever recovered. In the aftermath, investigators found a ladder mysteriously leaning against the house, as if deliberately placed by unseen hands. A neighbor later claimed to have seen shadowy figures in a green car near the scene, and a phone repairman admitted that he had cut the family's telephone line just hours before the blaze erupted, deepening suspicions of foul play. In 1949, a tipster insisted that the missing Ching children were alive and hidden away somewhere in Florida, prompting a frantic search that ultimately led to an empty, abandoned house. Then in 1968, an anonymous photograph surfaced, a grown man bearing an uncanny resemblance to their son Luis, captured in a crowded street with the cryptic message, "I love you, forgive me." The darkest twist came in 1950, when George received a letter postmarked from New York that read, "Your children suffered greatly. Better to let them rest." Though dismissed by the FBI as a hoax, the letter's haunting implications have never faded. George Sauter spent the rest of his life searching through the ashes of his shattered existence, his final words echoing in the hearts of those who remember, "They're out there. I know it." Even today, the ruins of the Sauter home remain untouched, and on Christmas Eve, locals claim to hear the faint, bittersweet echoes of children's laughter, a spectral reminder of lives lost and mysteries that defy explanation. In the remote, icy wilderness of northern Canada near the enigmatic Anjikuni Lake, an unsettling mystery unfolded in 1930. An entire Inuit village, a community known for its deep-rooted traditions and close bonds, vanished overnight without a trace. One crisp morning, local hunters arrived to discover the village eerily deserted. Empty dwellings, abandoned tools, and personal belongings scattered as if the inhabitants had simply evaporated into thin air. There were no signs of struggle, no bodies left behind, only an overwhelming silence that defied explanation. Eyewitnesses later described surreal phenomena, strange, flickering lights dancing over the frozen lake, and disembodied voices carried on the cold wind just before the settlement fell silent. Subsequent searches revealed disturbed snow patterns and mysterious tracks leading away from the area, yet no concrete evidence of the villagers' fate ever emerged. The Anjikuni Lake disappearance endures as one of Canada's most baffling mysteries, a secret hidden beneath the vast, unyielding silence of the North. Local elders continue to whisper of ghostly figures and an endless quiet that haunts the frozen shores, a silence that speaks of secrets too profound to be unraveled. That's it for today. Thank you for joining me on this journey into some of the world's most chilling mysteries. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the unexplained. Until next time, stay curious.